Today I'm going to go over and show you my whole eyeshadow palette collection. Here's where I store it. It's a Alex 9 drawer unit. I recently got it because my makeup collection grew significantly in the past, I would say, a year and a half or 2 years. So I decided that it's a time for me to actually get actual nice storage to fit everything in the same area. I do have a good variety of shadows or eyeshadow palettes rather. I do have few of the drugstore ones, and I would say most of my eyeshadow palettes are high-end. Really love neutrals. This is kind of like my thing, so I do have a good amount of neutral palettes in here. So let's just go over and one thing that I also wanted to mention is that my current eyeshadow palette collection is very curated. Like, I'm not just trying to buy things that I'm just gonna test or swatch or just put it out there on my blog or social media or whatnot, not use. I'm trying to only purchase things at the moment that I know I'm actually gonna love and use. So at this moment, this is just a highlight of my collection as is, and I'm not trying to declutter anything at the moment. So let's just go ahead and I will show you what I have. These are my most used palettes. I really like to have them this way because I kind of see what they are. The thing is that if I don't see my makeup, I'm not gonna use it. This is kind of like where I majorly store my makeup in this whole entire unit, but then I also do a weekly container where I just kind of separate things and just have them next to my mirror where I get ready every morning. So I do like to rotate makeup. I would select 1 or 2 palettes that I would use weekly to do my daily makeup. So my first palette that I have right here, it's by Urban Decay, Born to Run. I absolutely love this palette. So this is so beautiful. This is very colorful. At first, it kind of looks intimidating, but if you actually look closer to it, it does have some matte neutrals here, and these 3 shades right here are also mattes. So it gives you a good variety of tones to put in your crease. But overall, I absolutely love the quality. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. There's very minimal fallout on this. Packaging is very nice and sturdy. It has a full-size mirror right here on this side. It's a very travel-friendly palette, and overall I feel like every single look that I've ever created comes out very nice, like rich and glam looking. And if you love some sort of smoky eye and just different gem tones, you will love this palette. The day that I know that I need to do some sort of like a really sultry, smoky eye, I go for this palette, and it always comes out to perfection. I do have a good amount of Huda palettes, and I'm just gonna pull them out all, and I'm just gonna go over them all at the same time. So I have 4 of her large palettes here, and then I do have a smaller, like 5 of her smaller palettes here. I actually keep them still in their original packaging because I do like to keep my makeup like nice and clean and stuff. So I think that these outer boxes are so pretty. So whenever I use the palettes, I just try to take them out, but when I store them, I actually store them in these beautiful packages. So this one is a rose gold remastered palette. Let me just take this out and show it to you. I mean, look at this packaging. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. So let's open this up. It does have a full-size mirror also, and it has this little protective cover that's also so gorgeous. Okay, so the inside of the palette is absolutely gorgeous. These are the tones that I love. This whole entire row is all shimmer. There's no glitters here in this palette. They're all shimmers, and everything else is matte. So this is very warm tone palette, like gold and like champagne, rosy shimmers. You can do a really beautiful romantic look as well as like a beautiful smoky eye, like neutral tones. So I actually used this palette to create a look for Valentine's Day, and it just came out very, very nice. I would just use this like rosy tones. Palette is fantastic, as well as that you can use it for every day, just to do just more like brownish, like neutral tones, and just use something that's like very wearable and work appropriate. So, but I need to say that this palette is beautiful as it is, and I really enjoy using it. This is probably like the least favorite out of all the large palettes that I have from Huda Beauty. The next palette that I have from Huda Beauty is this Huda New Nude. It's probably one of my favorite palettes from Huda. Again, the same design. You do have this beautiful mirror in there, and again, the same concept, like she did this eye look. I truly enjoy this. This has just been my vibe recently. So I truly enjoy these mauves and purples and just kind of like this berry cooler tones. So this palette does have very interesting shimmers. I think I'm not sure if this was the first palette they introduced this concept with or not, but they have this tone here, Daydream and Crave. These are kind of like the marble looking shimmers. Oh, this is a fantasy too. And these two shades, Excite and Infatuated, they are pressed glitter. You do need some sort of like eyelid adhesive to place these, because they're just all over the place. They're beautiful, but you definitely need an adhesive for them. You do get a small amount of fallout on even this shimmery shade, so I would prefer to do my eye look first and then do the rest of the face. They do hold on pretty well throughout the day. They don't crease. I just enjoy the formula in general. The next palette that I have from Huda Beauty is the Desert Dusk palette. Again, a very beautiful packaging, same concept, full-size mirror, the insert here. And this palette, as you guys can see, I have not touched it yet. I have not touched it, and I still love it. This is just totally me. All these neutrals and just warm colors. This is brand new palette to me, but I know that this shade is a pressed glitter. These are just like shimmers, but there's some of them look like they're duochromes. Like these two look duochromes. I definitely will be digging into this palette very soon. The last large Huda Beauty palette is the Mercury Retrograde. This is a different packaging from the previous three. It's kind of like full plastic, and it has like a solid glass packaging. Same thing, it has a beautiful full-size mirror here, but I already use this palette. This is just such a gorgeous palette that gives me like summery spring vibes. I mean, the formula again is fantastic. If you are looking to invest into something, you know, in her formula, it's definitely worth the money. I'm glad I have it, and I do recommend this palette. These four was from a previous line called Obsessions. So I have the Obsession Warm Brown. This is mostly matte palette, has one gold shimmer in the middle. This is more of a warmer palette, and it does have a mirror, so it's really nice to travel with. I do keep these outer boxes because if I want to take it traveling, it doesn't open. One of my favorites is the Topaz Obsession. It has more shimmers. It has 4 shimmers here and then 5 mattes. You can definitely do warm looks out of it, but you can do a smoky eye. You can do something a little more wearable. You can use any of these like deeper tones to make it look like you have an eyeliner. The next palette from Huda Beauty I have is a Ruby from Obsessions. And guys, this is a palette that it's kind of like a pinkish red packaging. I did not think that I would like this palette as much as I did. This is just such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. The looks that came out of it, you would think they're a little bit more burgundy than pink, but all these the tones that you can definitely make something like a lighter tone, like lighter looks out of this with this like beautiful coral shade. However, these shimmers are to die for. They are almost like a duochrome, and this one has like a purple undertone to it. This is like very, very pretty, very beautiful. I did not expect to like this palette as much as I did. The next palette that I have from Huda Beauty is Emerald palette, and to be honest with you, this is not my favorite of all the ones that I have. I just don't think that the green tones go with my complexion so much, because these are just kind of like a cooler greens, and I feel like this color is a little bit, this shade right here is a little bit muddy upon application. However, I think that shimmers are absolutely beautiful. I did create smoky like green emerald look. However, I had to reach out to different browns from a different palette. I just don't think the shades that are here, I can't really create one full look out of this, but I do like to combine it with other palettes. One last palette from Huda Beauty in my collection would be the Nude Light. And this collection, I believe, was launched a few years ago, and there was 3 palettes available. The idea behind it was to suit different skin tones within like neutral palette, and I picked up the lightest one just to try. The packaging is actually very nice and sturdy, has like a nice clasp to it, and it has a mirror. And you guys, this is the most perfect palette for spring and summer. It's so easy to make looks with this palette. There's a little bit like purple and purplish like mauve tone here. There's your setting powder. There's your darker brown here to deepen up like the outer corner and like outline your lower lash line. And this is just fantastic. The shimmers are gorgeous. There's a tiny bit of fallout. I very much recommend this. I actually wanted to pick up a medium shade from this nude line, and I'm just waiting for a good moment right now. I'm just trying not to add any more products to my collection because no one's going nowhere these days. These are my Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. They all have the same package in there, like velvet. It kind of like the same design, the Modern Renaissance, Soft Glam, Norvina, and Subculture. I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with these. This has been around for some time, but I'm still gonna open up and show you just in case you're not familiar. I was doing the swatches earlier and this stuff just doesn't come off. That was an eyeliner from Stila. Anyway, go back to Modern Renaissance. This palette is beautiful. It's just perfect tones. If you're familiar with Anastasia formula, it's probably one of my favorites. The shimmers are so good, so creamy. Mattes are just pigmented and so easy to apply. I just can't say really anymore. It's so worth your money if you're looking to invest into a palette. If you're just starting with makeup, you're not sure, Anastasia Beverly Hills formula is very, very good. I always keep all these protective separators here because I just like to keep my makeup clean. And there's all these eyeshadow palettes, they have a double-sided brush. I don't necessarily think it's the best brush, but you can make it work. Soft Glam palette is just another favorite. Neutrals lover's dream. I mean, it has some cooler tones, some warmer tones, like a darker matte shades, and like all these glitters are fantastic. This was my most recent purchase from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's a Norvina palette. I just love this color of this packaging. It is so nice. As you can see, all this velvety packaging is as beautiful as it is, and it gets dirty really quickly. I really love this color story. Just this kind of like a neutral pink purple vibe to it. So unfortunately, if you can see the shade Dazzling, I can't remember where I purchased this. It goes from Beautylish, and they delivered me this palette, the whole package. Like this shadow just broke and it was all crackled, so I have to pack it back. It doesn't look that pretty, but I mean, I put it back in there. So this shade was also cracked. I also had to like repress it. This last palette, I still have it. I did get a Bad Batch palette. This is, and you can also see how dirty that is because I just can't even clean it up. I just kind of gave up on it because every time I would use it, it gets dirty. As this color story is probably one of my favorites out of like all the palettes that I have. This is so fall. This fall is my favorite season, and I just really, when I saw this palette, I thought, I was like, oh my god, that just gives me all the right vibes. However, I did get a Bad Batch. All the mattes here, especially on like the darker tones, they're just impossible to work with. You can still pack them and make them work, but it takes so much work. that it's just almost not worth it. It does have very unique like lighter shade. There's like duochrome and like icy color, and this beautiful duochrome green, and this coral color. They're very unique. I don't have nothing like it in my collection in the rest of my palettes, so I just kept this palette just for those shimmers because they are absolutely beautiful and they're very unique tones. I haven't seen them in anywhere else. I could probably try to depot them and then get rid of the rest of the palette, but yeah, for now I'm just keeping the whole thing. Next palette is from Makeup Revolution. I just picked it up right before this last New Year's, and I thought the packaging was really cute. It's very nice and thin, and then it just has like a nice closure, and it's all gold. It's not glittery. The glitter doesn't fall. So it has a full-size mirror here. I did have a full blog post on this palette. When I saw it in person, this palette is so beautiful. It's not perfect. It has its own flaws. Like these two shades and this shade, they're quite patchy. You can still make it work if you try to just pack them, but they're quite patchy. You can't blend them too much. But anything here, like the lighter mattes, they're absolutely beautiful. I do enjoy using this just for every day. And if you can see, like there's like a good dent in them, in these mattes, because I use them a good amount. This shimmers in the middle, they're so beautiful. They're almost like a jelly kind, and they're blinding. You couldn't tell that was like a $12 palette. I know there was several variations of these. There was an emerald one, there was something that was a little bit like more red, and I just got the neutral because I'm a neutral lover, and I never regretted this. This yellow is just the most beautiful. Like, let me just do a swatch for you guys. Look at this. Look at this. Look how gorgeous this is. Next palette is the Gingerbread Extra Spicy from Too Faced. I got it last fall when it came out. It's kind of a new palette. I know they had one in the past, and there's one that's coming out this season, but I truly enjoyed it. I was kind of debating between if I should have bought the one from that was the original one or this one, and I opted out to get this one. The packaging is so cute, and it smells like a gingerbread cookie. And it has nice mattes. It's very pigmented. The shimmers are beautiful. You can do so many different looks. It is a warmer palette, and this blue metallic, well, this like shimmery blue is just, imagine this for a smoky eye. It's to die for. However, I also wanted to know that these this row right here, these shadows, they are a little more textured than say like these shimmers. So I would say you would probably want to use some sort of adhesive. They have like a little more texture to them, but it's a wonderful palette. Another palette that I have here, it's another neutral from KKW Beauty. Tried a bunch of her products, and this was one of them. I did want to get familiar with her formula, her products overall. I do like this color store. It's very neutral. It's kind of like warmer and more cooler tones and just beautiful shimmers. Mattes are a little bit more difficult to blend. It's good. I don't think it's worth $45, but I would say in like low 20s would be perfect. But it is a beautiful palette. I do like her aesthetics, but the shimmers are beautiful. It's very nice palette to use for every day. However, I do think that it's a little bit harder to blend out the mattes. So here I have 3 palettes from Urban Decay, 2 minis, and the original Naked palette. So I do have a little bit of sentimental attachments to this palette because I purchased it first time, and then within like first few weeks it was stolen from me with my whole entire makeup bag, and I was so devastated, and I actually ended up repurchasing it. So this is my very first palette that of a high-end eyeshadow that I've ever purchased. I actually discontinued this palette already. You can't purchase it unless it's like on a secondary market somewhere. This palette was so bomb, and I still think this is a very nice neutral palette. I know a lot of people decluttered this already a long time ago because it kind of considered boring. I will never declutter this. This has a sentimental value to me. And the other 2 palettes that I have from Urban Decay, these 2, I use this a ton. They're quality of these eyeshadows is so good. I used a ton of this and this one, and you can barely see that it's been touched. There's a very minimal fallout on this, almost like no fallout. It has the mirror. The packaging is super sturdy. I traveled with these two palettes so many times. I was debating to buy the Naked Heat palette, the actual size, and I opted out for this one, and I never regretted a day. All these colors are mattes, and this is kind of like a very subtle like sheen highlighting. I have 3 palettes from Colourpop at the moment. California Love palette is just so gorgeous. The packaging is so cute. I really love this. Is just such a full vibe. Again, it does have a pressed glitter right here, and beautiful mattes, and just some very beautiful shimmers. One of my favorite formulas probably of all the eyeshadows that I had or tried in my life, and I know a lot of people also enjoy the Colourpop eyeshadow formula. I will be buying more palettes. I don't have a lot currently. I just have only 3 Colourpop palettes, but I definitely will be buying more from this brand because like their formula is just absolutely fantastic. The Dublin Tundra is ultimate perfection of a neutral palette. I've used the heck out of this, and you can barely see that I touched it. I use this palette so many times, and it looks barely touched, and the shimmers are fantastic. Like this tone and this shade right here, they kind of almost looked like the same, but they're not. This is a perfect like highlighter. I actually use this shadow to even highlight my face, and this one is just look like a little bit more subtle. Like it's perfect for your inner portion of the eyelid, just to give like very subtle glow. But this is a perfect highlighting shade. If you go somewhere and you forget the highlighter, you will be okay with this one. It's fantastic. The other palette that I did not expect to love as much as I did. I'm truly like in love with this palette, truly madly deeply. I do have the whole entire post dedicated to this palette on my blog. This palette is larger. It's a 16 pan, so it has 3 pressed glitters, which I know a lot of people are not huge fans of, but I love this palette. This is perfect for spring and summer. You get all the squirrels and pinks and purples, and if this is your vibe, like those tones are your vibes, you'll love this palette. It just looks so much prettier in person than on a picture. The formula is an amazing Colourpop formula. Yeah, the color story, it's just so romantic and just so beautiful. A few more palettes that I wanted to highlight. They're one of my favorites. They've been around quite some time, and I believe some of them may have been discontinued. I'm not sure at the moment, but the Tarte is Toasted and Bloom, Tartelette and Bloom. The packaging is the best. It's very sturdy. It has a full-size mirror. This one is more like a cooler tone palette, and the Toasted one is just a very warm palette. I almost consider them dupes for these two, to be honest with you. They're very similar. But anyway, the shimmers are just very subtle. They're not like one of those like blinding shimmers, but I've traveled with these two so many times, and I can go from like day to night very easily just by adding shimmer and just like deepening up the outer corner. Or I've used this for work a million times. These palettes have been used. This palette I received as a gift with purchase from Ulta. I mean, the packaging is fine. It's nothing impressive, just kind of plastic, but I mean, it has like a nice closure. But it has this insert that has names on it. So I kind of hold on to it because like I won't know what the names are called because they're not on the back. This color story doesn't impress me. These are all shimmers, and these bottom colors are all patchy. First, when I saw the palette, I was kind of excited about these two colors because I do like these like deeper blues and greens. The formula of the shimmers is good. They do not crease or anything like that. I almost feel like this is just a very random color story. Like it doesn't really inspire me. I do like the shimmers, and that's why I kept it around. Here I do have this palette by Essence called Beautiful. I think it used to be available on Ulta website, but I think at the moment it's only available on the website of Essence Makeup. So this is kind of like a cardboard packaging. It's like quite thin. It has a small mirror here, and I love this palette. You guys, if you're on a budget and if you're looking for a neutral everyday palette, this is it. You don't need to look any further. This palette is $9.99. Not only mattes, like the shimmers are amazing, the mattes are amazing. You have like a larger pans. It almost reminds me like of a size of a Juvia's Place. And then you have like a little bit of pop of color here. This is very all year round palette that you can use just for every day. Like, this is beautiful. Like, I don't know how people don't talk about it enough. I absolutely love this and I recommend it to people a lot. Since we're talking about neutrals, let's just talk about this one. This is a quad from e.l.f. They just recently launched, I think earlier in this year, but look what happened to mine. I only picked up this one. It's called Cream and Sugar. And this is like the lightest of the neutrals. I thought I would try one because there was so much hype about it. To be honest with you, I'm not very impressed. I know the shimmers are really good. I can only come up with like one look. And then this one was kind of raised. When I got it, this shadow, like at the middle portion, exactly the portion that fell out, was kind of like cracked and raised. And I thought it was weird. But then one day, I think it was just like in my drawer, and then it was just completely all over the place. So I just had to like trash it because it was like all shattered. But this shade doesn't do anything to me, really. It's just very basic, just kind of that shade that you just set your lid with. And then this one, this brown shade is quite patchy on the eye. I can pack it and do like a smoky eye or a halo eye with this look, but that's about it. Like, I can't really do much with it. And I don't really want to throw it away. It was like $3, so it's no big deal, but I can still use it, but I'm not sure for how long I'm going to keep it, but for now I do. And this is so cute. It has the mirror and it has this like cute pineapple. It smells like pineapple. This kind of like a neutral palette that has a little personality here, but I also love the packaging very much. Okay, you guys, this palette is very interesting. So it was available for a short period of time on Ulta website. I think it was Ulta exclusive. This kind of has like the velvety touch to it, almost like an Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's called Magical Mystical Me. And it opens up like this, right? And then doesn't have a mirror or anything else. Very simple packaging. But you guys, what does it look like to you? It's literally an identical dupe for Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palettes. This palette is so good. Like, it's like not even a joke. Like, all these shimmers are just so beautiful. They're simple, they're not super blinding, but they're really good quality shimmers to create like beautiful looks with it. All the bottom mattes are just so nice. They're buttery, they just blend so easily, they're pigmented, and this shadow you can use for, you know, setting the lid. Yeah, this is a really nice palette. It's in my rotation for daily use. I truly enjoy this. Okay, here in the back, I do have two palettes that are large. I don't use them so much, but I do purposefully sometimes reach out to them and try to use them. This palette is by BH Cosmetics Ultimate Matte. This palette does not have names on the palette, but look how gorgeous this is. Every single matte you can possibly think of, pinks and purples and yellows and rusty colors and browns and some tones of gray. And I mean, this is just all I will ever need. I've used this so many times in my life, and I just feel like it's a little bit bulky. It's obviously, I would not go ahead and travel with it, but this is such a great formula. It's just so easy to work with. It blends, it's pigmented, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's just it's so perfect. And I think it's still available on bhcosmetics.com, and it constantly goes on sale. So I very much recommend it. If you're looking for a good amount of like variety of shades like this, it's a perfect palette. This palette is from Morphe, 35W. And I've used the heck out of it, you guys. This is probably one of my first palettes that I got, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's probably like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. it still performs. I kind of keep my eye on it, like when it's gonna stop working, but shimmers are gorgeous and mattes are gorgeous, and everything just works perfectly and easily, and I'm keeping it for now. And these are all my colors. This is just totally just my vibe every single day. This is what I like to use for every single day, and I'll never get bored. Well, guys, this sums up today's video. I counted 30 palettes total. At the moment, I am thinking to only add palettes that really inspire me, and they're very different to my collection, something that I do not have or something that may be out of my comfort zone and I want to experiment with. I hope you like this video. I would love you to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.